Hand someone a $20 bill. That's it. It's done. No name, no record, no timestamp, no company sitting in the middle taking notes. That payment just left history. Nobody can look it up. Not tomorrow, not in 50 years. It's gone. You do this without thinking about it. But you're doing one of the last ordinary things a human being can do that leaves no trace at all. Because here's what almost nobody notices about money. Every kind of money we have ever built either remembered you or forgot you. And for most of the last 10,000 years, memory won. Cash was the exception. That exception is closing right now. Start at the beginning because the beginning is not what you think. The first money was not an object. It was a list. Before coins, before shells, before anything you could hold, there was debt. You help your neighbor fix his roof. He doesn't pay you, he owes you. And that obligation just sits there until one day he hands you grain and it's settled. And we can prove this. The temples of ancient Mesopotamia were recording debts in silver 5,000 years ago, long before the first coin existed. The oldest financial documents on Earth aren't receipts, they're ledgers. So look at what the original money actually was, a record of who owed what to whom. In a village of 200 people, everyone knew your obligations. Everyone knew what you'd taken and what you still owed. Total transparency, zero privacy. And nobody thought that was strange, because there was no alternative. Then, around 600 BC in a kingdom called Lydia, in what is now Western Turkey, something happened that shaped money for the next 25 centuries. The Lydian kings took electrum, a natural mix of gold and silver, fixed the weight, fixed the purity, and stamped every piece with a royal seal. That stamp was a promise. You no longer had to weigh it or test it. You just trusted the mark. This usually gets told as the invention of coinage, but look at the side effect nobody mentions. A coin carries value. It does not carry a name. Hand it to someone and there's no record, no list, no temple archive. The transaction doesn't exist anywhere except in the memory of two people. And nobody designed that. It was an accident of physics. Metal cannot remember who held it. Paper inherited the same accident. Whoever holds it owns it, and the paper says nothing about where it has been. For roughly 2,500 years, forgetting was simply how money worked. It was never a feature anyone fought for. It was the default. Then 2008. Banks that had bundled millions of bad home loans collapsed. Governments created trillions of new dollars and handed them to the institutions that caused it. And a lot of people came out of that year asking a question they'd never asked before. Why do we trust these institutions with our money at all? On October 31st, 2008, a person or group using the name Satoshi Nakamoto published 9 pages describing a different kind of money. 2 months later, the first block went live, and the world immediately called it the wrong thing. Anonymous internet money. Untraceable. Digital cash. It is the opposite of cash. Bitcoin removed the need to trust a bank by doing something no money had done in centuries. It made every single transaction public, permanent, copied onto thousands of computers where nobody can secretly edit it and nobody can delete it. Think about what that actually is. It's the Mesopotamian temple ledger. Again, except now the entire planet can read it and nothing ever gets thrown away. Bitcoin isn't anonymous, it's pseudonymous. Your address isn't your name, but addresses cluster, patterns repeat, habits leak, and eventually one of those addresses touches something that does have your name on it. Here's what that looks like in practice. In 2016, someone stole roughly 120,000 Bitcoin from an exchange called Bitfinex, then spent 6 years laundering it, splitting it, moving it, layering it through wallet after wallet after wallet. In 2022, the Department of Justice traced the entire thing and seized roughly $3.6 billion worth. Sit with that timeline. Transactions made in 2016 were used to prosecute someone in 2022. Financial evidence used to fade. Paper got lost, witnesses forgot. Cash left nothing behind at all. On-chain evidence does not decay. It sits there, complete, waiting, forever. There's an entire forensics industry built on this now. Firms with names like Chainalysis. They don't break the cryptography. They never have to. They just read what's already published and follow the money. So Bitcoin solved a real problem. It solved who controls money. It did not solve who gets to watch it. Measured on privacy alone, it's a step backward from the $20 bill. But most people using crypto today aren't using Bitcoin at all. They're using digital dollars, stablecoins, dollars that live on a blockchain. They move in seconds to anyone, anywhere on Earth for almost nothing. It is, without exaggeration, the fastest money that has ever existed. And it has one property that paper does not. A dollar bill cannot be switched off. A digital one can. The company behind the largest stablecoin has frozen more than $4.2 billion worth of it. It works with over 340 law enforcement agencies across 65 countries on more than 2,300 cases. And it's accelerating. In one recent 30-day stretch, over $500 million frozen. A single action in April froze $344 million across 2 addresses that U.S. officials later tied to sanctions evasion. Now, be honest about this. A lot of that money belonged to fraud rings, sanctions evaders, and criminal operations. Plenty of people would look at those numbers and call it a good thing. That's exactly why it matters. The capability is real. It works. It's being used at scale right now. And once a switch like that exists, the only question left is who's allowed to touch it, which brings us to the part everyone got wrong. For years, the loudest warning in this entire space was about government money. Central bank digital currencies. Your national currency issued directly by the state, purely digital, trackable by design, programmable, able to expire if you don't spend it, or to simply refuse certain purchases. 146 countries and currency unions have been studying one. So here's the twist, it mostly didn't happen. Only 3 countries have fully launched one. The Bahamas, Jamaica, Nigeria, and in the United States, the opposite happened. An executive order in January 2025 barred federal agencies from issuing one. Then, this year, a 4-year ban was written into law, running through the end of 2030. Stablecoins were left completely alone. Everyone was watching the front door. The money that can be tracked, frozen, and switched off already arrived. It came from private companies, not central banks. It's sitting in hundreds of millions of pockets, and nobody was forced to take it. People chose it because it was faster. So that leaves one question, and it's an engineering question. Can you build money where the network confirms a payment is real and hasn't been spent twice without knowing who sent it, who received it, or how much it was? That sounds impossible. It isn't. The tool is called a zero-knowledge proof. You prove a statement is true without revealing the information behind it. Proving you're over 18 without showing your birthday. Proving you know a password without ever saying the password. In October 2016, a project called Zcash became the first serious attempt to put that inside money. Its shielded transactions hide the sender, the receiver, and the amount, while the network still verifies that everything is valid. Same hard cap as Bitcoin, 21 million. Nobody can print more, and for years, almost nobody cared. Then this year, the share of supply held in shielded form went from around 8% in 2024 to roughly a quarter today. Grayscale filed for an exchange-traded product, and the language around it flipped. Privacy stopped being described as a tool for criminals and started being described as ordinary commercial confidentiality. But there are 2 problems, and they're both real. The privacy is optional. Most of the supply still sits in ordinary, fully visible addresses. And privacy gets stronger with crowds. If only a small group hides, then hiding itself becomes the signal. Optional privacy is weak privacy. And in May of this year, a critical flaw was found in that shielded pool. It could have allowed counterfeit coins to be created without anyone detecting it. It was patched within days. The price fell by half. This cryptography is young, so look at the bill in your pocket. It's the last money most people still use that keeps no record of you at all. And everything being built to replace it either remembers everything by default or asks you to opt in to being forgotten. Nobody's going to vote on which one wins. It gets decided by whatever a few 100 million people tap accept on. So the only question that really matters is this. If every payment can be tracked, every account can be frozen, and our access can be cut off, can we really call that money ours? And what kind of money will we choose next? Money we control, or money controlled by someone else?